Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Welcome back. And those of you that are new, welcome. House Representative warns Twitter execs they could go to jail. FBI responds to allegations of censorship. Yes, they lied under oath repeatedly in the past. Representative Clay Higgins, a Republican in Louisiana, accused Twitter execs of interfering with the 2020 presidential election. There's going to be a little bit longer video than normal. There's a lot of ground to cover, but I hope you stick with it because this is worth seeing. Now let's check out what Representative Higgins has to say before we move on to the other stories with Jim Jordan.
FBI used its relationship with Twitter to suppress criminal evidence being revealed about Joe Biden 1 month before the 2020 elections. You, ladies and gentlemen, interfered with the United States of America 2020 presidential election, knowingly and willingly. That's the bad news. It's going to get worse because this is the investigation part. Later comes the arrest part. Your attorneys are familiar with that. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to spend 5 hours with these ladies and gentlemen during depositions surely yet to come. But for right now, I'll yield the balance of my time to my colleague, Mr. Jordan.
And there it starts. And it's a great start. They should be in jail. Those of you that run this website, take note. Former Twitter executives who met with the House Oversight Committee on Wednesday were given a stern warning from one of our representatives who said arrests were coming their way. That's right. Sharing reported on Hunter Biden's laptop by New York Post prior to the 2020 election. Twitter blocked it all. My understanding is 1 in 7 individuals who voted for Joe Biden when they found out about the Hunter Biden laptop after Twitter and other social media sites hit it would not have voted for Joe Biden. That swings the election just in itself. Former Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey said in May 2021 that blocking the Hunter Biden story was a total mistake. Well, it's great to admit you made a mistake after. Well, they all got cashed out. They got big money when Elon Musk bought Twitter. Still during questioning, several members of the House Oversight Committee, including Clay Higgins from Louisiana, were firm in their questioning representatives who appeared on Wednesday. Yeah. Higgins told Twitter's former head of trust and safety, I love that, Yoel Roth, what a piece of garbage he is. Former chief legal officer Unja Gadi, former Twitter deputy counsel, and you see the whole list there. That the bottom line was the FBI had the Biden crime family laptop for a year, knowing it was leaking, and those leaks would hurt the Biden campaign. These people should be in jail. The FBI rejected the characterization of inappropriate relationship with Twitter and issued a statement in response to Higgins' comment. The FBI does not instruct or direct any social media company to censor an account or remove information from their platform. They don't say do it or else. Of course not. Duh. You use your influence. Many ex-FBI agents work for social media companies. In fact, Twitter was loaded with them. In fact, there were so many ex-federal employees in Twitter, they had their own little club. The FBI receives voluntary provided information from these companies. Yeah, voluntary. Yeah, technically it might be. But what they did, they've infiltrated all these companies, and the companies are more than willing to help them because they had a single goal. And that goal was help Democrats win the White House. Period. When a company believes there's a serious risk or threat of serious personal injury, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Malign foreign influence and information, and here we go, Russian collusion, blah, 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 blah. Well, let's take a look at some more of these hearings. Like I said, this is going to be a longer video, but it's worth watching. Now, let's check out an exchange between Mr. Roth and other Twitter employees and Jim Jordan.
To my laptop, but Special Agent Chan has said publicly, and the FBI has confirmed that those documents did not relate to Hunter Biden, and that's my recollection of them.
What did they relate to?
My interactions with Agent Chan and with the FBI almost entirely focused on what the FBI called malign foreign interference, things like Russian troll farms and Iranian involvement in the elections, not on any type of domestic
Any of the
activity.
information on there classified?
Now, here's the thing. The FBI said there was misinformation and foreign interference in the election. Twitter knew it was absolute bull blank. They knew it was not foreign interference. They were more than happy to pretend to be patriotic Americans and let the FBI use them to interfere in a presidential election. Period. Let's listen on. And there's going to be some more from Representative from Florida. He has some great interaction with a Twitter employee.
No, sir, I do not hold a security clearance, and so I would not have received any classified information.
Who does hold a security clearance? I'm just going to second email here. I'm just curious about this. What I propose is that 30 days out from the election, this is another email to you from Mr. Chan. 30 days, we get temporary clearances.
Today, FBI wanted Twitter employees to get temporary security clearances 30 days prior to the election. The FBI issued a letter, an email, saying they want to give out security clearances to Twitter employees 30 days prior to the election. Think about that for a minute. And on top of that, there were so many former intelligence service, FBI personnel that now work for Twitter. They had their own little club. Let's listen on.
Temporary clearances, you pick who they are. Who were the people at Twitter who had a security clearance?
To be honest, sir, I'm not sure, and we never ultimately followed through on this plan to get temporary clearances.
Did anyone at Twitter have a security clearance?
It's my understanding that at least some current or former employees did hold clearances, but I wasn't certain about
Ms.
that.
Gaddy, do you know if anyone took up Mr. Chan's offer to hand out security clearances 30 days before the 2020 election?
Not that I'm aware.
So we don't know how many people had security clearances.
I don't know.
Twitter, do we know? Mr. Baker, Mr. Gaddy, and Ms. Gaddy, anyone know how many people at Twitter had a security clearance in the 30 days prior to the election?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Ms. Gaddy?
I do not know.
I don't know either.
Mr. Roth, you don't know?
No, sir.
Well, how about the last one? Ms. Navaroli, do you know?
No.
I mean, it seemed
Of
like the offer was
course
to sort of just
not.
hand them out like candy. I just wondered who had them.
I don't know anything.
No one knows? Okay. So the FBI didn't tell you that it was fake, didn't tell you that it was hacked. And Mr. Roth, did the story violate your policies?
In my judgment at the time, no, it did not.
Yeah, that's what you said. Said what I would propose, is you said it isn't clearly a violation of our hack materials policy, nor is it clearly a violation of anything else. So I think what a lot of people are wondering is if it didn't violate your policies and they didn't tell you it was fake, didn't tell you it was hacked, why'd you take it down?
He looks nervous,
The
doesn't
company
he?
made a decision that found that it did violate the policy. It wasn't my personal judgment at the time that it did,
Oh, it wasn't
but
me.
the decision was communicated to me by my direct supervisor, and ultimately I didn't disagree with it enough to object to
You know
that action.
what I think happened, Mr. Roth? I think you guys got played. I think you guys wanted to take it deep down. We saw it, but
He's right. They got played in part. They wanted to take it down. They wanted it down. So they used this excuse. It's election interference. Plain and simple. Think about this for a minute, even the ones that hate Donald Trump that are listening to this video. If the roles were reversed and their Hunter Biden laptop was the Donald Trump Jr. laptop, what do you think would happen? Do you think Twitter would have taken it down? And if you believe that Twitter would have, you're part of the problem.
the chairman put up where you said, everyone in the White House is a fascist. I think you guys wanted it to be taken down. I think you meet with these guys every week. We know that's been established in the Twitter files. You had weekly meetings with Mr. Chan in the run-up to the election. They send you all kinds of emails. They send you documents on the super secret James Bond teleporter. You get information on that. I think you guys wanted to take it down. I think you guys got played by the FBI. And that's the scary part. Because we had 50, this to me is the real takeaway. 51 former intelligence officials 5 days after you guys take down the Hunter Biden story and block the New York Post account. 5 days later, 51 former intel officials send a letter and they say, the Hunter Biden story has all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. The information operation was run on you guys.
It was a fake operation. There was no major foreign interference. They wanted it down, and that was to cover their behinds. All the fascists in the White House, he was referring to the Trump administration. These people are guilty as hell. Many of these, Ms. Gotti included, in my opinion, lied under oath. What is the point of having an oath under threat of perjury. And when you lie and you're caught up in it, you're not charged. These people have to start being charged. They have to start going to jail for lying under oath. You want to take the Fifth Amendment plea when you're asked a question under oath? That is your right. But you don't have the right to lie.
And then by extension, run on the American people. And that's the concern. And to Mr. Raskin's point that you guys aren't bound by the First Amendment because you're a private company, okay, maybe so, but your terms of service don't have to comply with the First Amendment. Would that be right, Mr. Roth? They don't have to. You've said that as much in your testimony.
My understanding of the First Amendment is that it protects people and businesses from government, not forms how the...
In your terms of service. So here's what I want to know. Here's what I want to know. Is this a violation of the First Amendment when the government, Mr. Chan, again, sending you an email saying, we think these accounts need to be looked at because they violate your terms of service? That's a different standard. So you got the government saying your terms of service, which don't have to comply with the First Amendment, but the government saying we don't think these accounts comply with your terms of service, please take them down. You see a problem there, Mr. Roth?
Mr. Chairman, I'm seeing a flashing red light. I'm happy to answer the question. Do I think that that's a valuable use of the FBI's time? No, but I don't see in a request for review a problem under the First Amendment, no.
I sure do. I thank the gentleman.
Now, here's the problem. Here's the issue. The valuable use of the FBI's time. It was if the FBI is working for a certain political party, if the FBI wants a certain political party to win the White House and or House of Representatives or U.S. Senate, certainly it does. These guys all knew what they were getting into, and this fake outrage that initially I had not wanted to take it down. What a crock of bull. Now we're going to listen to Florida Congressman. This is really interesting testimony. Please watch the rest of this video. This is worth listening to. Now, this is more testimony. This is from Byron Donalds, who's from Florida, who was on Timcast tonight, along with Representative Luna, Jim Jordan, and Lauren Boebert. All four of them are, because Timcast went down to Washington and talked to some of these congressmen. Let's listen to this. This is really, really fascinating stuff.
Ms. Gaddy, real quick, you said to the chairman earlier, and I want to paraphrase what I heard earlier, is that Twitter had no contact with anybody from the Biden team. Is that correct to your knowledge?
Not to my knowledge.
Put that up for me. Okay, over my right shoulder, we have an email. Reference, this is Saturday, October 24th, 5:39 p.m., referencing 5 different tweets. This is with a Twitter email chain. Under the line, it's more to review from the Biden team. Does anybody have a comment on how much interaction was happening with the Biden team at Twitter with respect to tweets that they wanted Twitter to review?
More to review from the Biden team. And how many emails didn't they get? Obviously, these are all subpoenaed records. And a lot of them were put out by Elon Musk when he took over Twitter, so they couldn't hide them. They didn't have enough time to do the, I'll call it digital shredding. In the old days, they used to just shred paper in a machine to get rid of documents. Today, they're all digitized. Yeah. Look at the 5 tweets. And it's interesting how this line of questioning goes. And he catches them in a trap. I got to admit, Representative Donalds from Florida is a sharp guy. I don't know if he's a lawyer, but he sure asks questions and traps him like one.
Ms. Gaddy, Mr. Roth?
I'm not familiar with this email.
So you're not familiar with this email, Mr. Roth? Are you familiar with this email?
Only from what's been reported in the Twitter files.
Did you ever have contact with anybody from the Biden team?
No, sir, I did not. We explicitly separated the teams that would interact with campaigns from teams like mine that were responsible.
No, but you did interact with the FBI and intelligence services from the United States. That was the go-between. What they used to say in the Godfather movie, I never got a direct order. There were a lot of buffers. Well, the FBI was working on behest of the Democratic Party. I don't think they were actually working for the Democrats. They were working against Trump. Trump was their threat. These guys got played? Yeah, but they got played willingly, so they really didn't get played. And Roth looks awful nervous because many of these in the past have lied under oath. We'll see if any of them get charged and go to trial.
For content moderation.
How big was the organization in Twitter that was actually working with campaigns?
I couldn't say for sure.
Did you ever have any contact with the DNC?
Directly? No, I did not.
Did anybody at Twitter have any contact with anybody at the DNC?
I think it's likely that somebody at Twitter did, yes.
In these emails, it's listed these are tweets that need to be flagged from the Biden team. That's what's in the files. You have no idea how many people actually engage with the Twitter team or how frequently that engagement happened.
No, and again, that was by design. We kept those functions separate from content moderation so that we could impartially assess reports like.
No, it's called plausible deniability. That way we can come here and under oath lie without being caught. That's what that is. It's not about we're a separate entity. There's nothing separate about any of this.
Do you know how many tweets were actually flagged and taken down at the behest of the Biden team?
I wouldn't agree with the characterization of it as being at the behest of them. These tweets were reported, and Twitter independently evaluated them under its rules.
But the email is very clear. More to review from Biden team.
Yeah, it's about as simple as you can put it. More to review from the Biden team. And all of a sudden, nobody knows. Everybody's got a short neck. I don't know. Nobody knows anything. Isn't that interesting?
The response 3 hours later at the bottom, hold this up real quick so you can see. The request at the bottom, it says, handled these. What does handled these mean?
My understanding is that these tweets contained non-consensual nude photos of Hunter Biden, and they were removed by the company under.
Hold on, real quick, Mr. Roth. How could you know so much about the content of these tweets? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, these are just web addresses. I don't know what's in these tweets.
Got him. He got him. How did he know those were the exact web addresses for the so-called nude pictures of Hunter Biden? That means he knew, and he has knowledge of this. He got him. Well done, Representative Donalds.
You have these things committed to memory that you know the content, but you don't know who you talk to at the Biden team?
Sir, I didn't meet with the Biden team, but there was extensive public reporting about these tweets specifically that uncovered what they were.
You know the contents of the tweets. It was obviously at Twitter, but you have no idea how often people who worked in your organization had with the Biden team during the end of the 2020 presidential election.
I would emphasize that the people who interfaced with the campaigns were not part of my team or organization. I would know what the interactions were if they were on my team. It was a different part of the organization, not.
Oh, a different part of the organization. That's not true. He knew. But he can say this under oath and get away with it because technically they were separate. It's called putting layers of insulation. This guy looks really nervous. So does Miss Gotti. And they should be because they've lied under oath. My opinion. This is huge, folks. This is huge. Again, I'm going to say, think about this for a moment. If this was reversed and it was Donald Trump Jr.'s laptop, do you think these hearings would be going on? They would blast it everywhere they could, and Twitter would promote it on their webpage, and so would this website and other social media companies.
Not mine.
Let me ask you a separate question, and I'll ask it of you too, Mr. Baker. Have you guys been able to quantify the amount of in-kind contributions associated with taking down the New York Post story? Because the New York Post story was down for 2 weeks, give or take. Do you have any understanding of how much that story was limited by Twitter and also by other social media companies? What the impact of an in-kind contribution that would be to the Joe Biden presidential?
That's true. That's an in-kind contribution. You're doing something to prop them up. You're doing something to do some damage control. That is an in-kind contribution.
Election in 2020?
I don't know the answer to that question, sir.
Do you think it's big?
I don't know the answer.
Do you think it's...
You know, it's funny. These four here have more education than 50 average Americans. And yet somehow, some way, they don't know anything anymore. They all got dumb.
more than a maximum contribution to a campaign?
I wouldn't want to speculate.
Would you call it 25,000?
I don't know the answer to that question.
100,000?
Sir, I don't know the answer to the question.
$1 million?
I don't know the answer to the question.
Do you think Twitter will be in violation of federal election laws with the size of an in-kind contribution to take down a story, which is true, by the way, because you guys thought you knew something with limited information?
I'm not going to speculate on that.
I'm not going to speculate on that. Now let's check out another story, and it'll be the end of the video. I know this is running long, but this is so important. Now we're going to see some questioning to Mr. Roth and Ms. Gotti. It's very interesting.
Who oppose their points of view. For example, Mr. Roth, did you write this tweet?
I regret the language that I used in some of my former tweets, but yes, I did post that.
And
I regret it now because now I'm being exposed in the light of day. I was a hero to my progressive friends and staff on Twitter, and now I regret it because now it's making national news. And look at Gotti there. It looks like she swallowed a bad oyster.
I'll read the tweet so it's in the record. Yes, that person in the pink hat is clearly a bigger threat to your brand of feminism than actual Nazis in the White House. Mr. Roth, do you think all conservatives are Nazis?
Certainly not, sir.
What about the hundreds of people who worked in the Trump administration?
Certainly not.
That's a lie. You do. You do think they're Nazis.
Did Ms. Gaddy or any other lawyer at Twitter ever tell you to take down that tweet?
No, Twitter did not have a practice of restricting employees sharing their personal viewpoints on the service.
Sharing their personal viewpoints on the service, which is the viewpoint of Twitter and its employees. Look at Gotti sitting there. She knows she's lied under oath in the past. I hope they go to jail. I hope they go to jail.
Turning back to the laptop, Ms. Gaddy, are you aware that Hunter Biden's lawyers, as recently as last week, wrote the Department of Justice about Hunter Biden's laptop?
I've seen some articles about that.
Yes, they did. And it appears that Hunter Biden's attorney is admitting that the laptop and emails on it are authentic. So, Ms. Gaddy, on October 14, 2020, did Hunter Biden report to Twitter that he was the victim of a hack?
No, I don't believe he did.
I don't believe he did. That way she covers herself. Of course he didn't, because it would be untrue. This moron left his laptop at a computer store, and after a certain period of time, when it wasn't picked up, the property now belongs to the person that did the repairs, i.e. the computer shop, who the FBI was trying to ruin his life.
Ms. Gaddy, when the New York Post initially broke the story about the laptop, did you call Hunter Biden's lawyer to ask if it was authentic?
No, I did not.
Isn't it correct that the Biden campaign had contact with Twitter in the run-up to the 2020 election?
Not to my knowledge.
They just showed an email that said so. She's lying. She's head of security for Twitter. She's the top of the food chain.
And you're telling this committee that you didn't ask any Biden representative if the laptop was real or for Hunter Biden's attorney's phone number to confirm its authenticity?
We did not speak to anybody related to that.
Mr. Baker, are you aware that the FBI had Hunter Biden's laptop since December of 2019?
I'm sorry, am I aware of that now?
Well, were you aware then?
Then, no, I don't believe, sir, that to the best of my recollection, I don't think I knew
But
that.
you're aware now?
I've heard that now, yes.
Mr. Baker, did you call any of your contacts at the FBI to ask whether or not they knew if the material had been hacked?
Of course not. They could not have a paper trail saying it was real. That way they couldn't take it down under their terms of service and kill the story. So they didn't want to know if it was real. They just said, it's disinformation. It's Russians trying to interfere. When the reality was our own intelligence services and the DNC were working hand in glove and using social media companies like Twitter.
I don't recall contacting them about that on that day.
Mr. Roth, Ms. Gaddy, and Mr. Baker, it appears to me that you failed at your jobs. You were entrusted with the highest level of power at Twitter, but when you were faced with the New York Post story, instead of allowing people to judge the information for themselves, you rushed to find a reason why the American people shouldn't see it.
I'm going to leave it at that. This is such a huge hearing and a lot of testimony. I'm going to do this as a two-parter. But I want to leave you with this. This is going to be part one. I want to leave you with this. If this was Donald Trump Jr.'s laptop, do you think the same thing would have happened? We're talking about equal justice and treatment under the law and under your practice of your social media company. They willingly interfered and then played the victims later. Well, we only went along with what the intelligence services and the ex-FBI and CIA employees that now work for us told us. That's a lie, and we all know that it's a lie. So this is the end of part one. This has run long, but I think this is important. And until next time, goodbye and good luck.